For 15 years, Minecraft players have basically been conditioned to survive this, like, year-long drought just for one day of rain.
Right. It is a brutal cycle.
You wait 12 months, the developers hype up one colossal update, the community loses its collective mind, the patch drops, and then, you go right back to wandering the desert waiting for the next drop of content.
Exactly. But next week, Mojang is officially breaking their own weather machine.
Which is huge.
It's a fundamental shift in how one of the most successful games in history operates. We are witnessing the death of the traditional feast-or-famine development cycle.
And that is the perfect jumping-off point for today's deep dive. The stage is set for Minecraft Live 2026, happening just over a week from today on March 21st.
Yep, the 21st.
And whether you are a hardcore redstone engineer spending hundreds of hours on automated item sorters or, just a casual weekend builder making a cozy dirt hut, this event is going to completely alter how you experience the game.
Without a doubt.
Today, we are pulling from a really fascinating stack of sources, including leaked key art, developer social media posts, and the highly scrutinized 26.1 pre-release patch notes to figure out Mojang's new endgame.
But before we dig into the roadmap, it is worth pointing out a rather amusing geographical goof Mojang made in their announcement trailer for the stream.
Oh, the time zone thing?
Yes. They advertised the start time as 1:00 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time and 7:00 p.m. Central European Time.
Which sounds perfectly normal until you actually look at a global calendar.
Right, because they forgot that Europe and North America switched to daylight saving time on completely different dates.
That is hilarious.
Those two times literally do not line up right now. So if you are tuning in, double check your local time zone against the official stream link. You do not want to miss the opening hour.
Geography is tricky, even for block builders, I guess.
Very true. But what's fascinating here isn't the scheduling oversight. It's the strategy behind what they are scheduling, why we are moving to these frequent game drops.
The actual transition itself.
Exactly. The why behind this transition is a masterclass in community management. I mean, Minecraft is a decade and a half old.
Yeah.
The traditional annual hype cycle is wonderful for a big marketing splash, but it starves the player base for the other 11 months.
It really does.
By shifting to smaller, more frequent feature drops, they keep the community continually engaged. It transforms their development pipeline from a stressful, monolithic annual sprint into a continuous, agile delivery system.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I think the best way to visualize it is through an analogy.
I love a good analogy.
It is like moving from getting one giant, overwhelming holiday present a year, where you spend all day unwrapping it and then you are done, to getting a perfectly curated subscription box every few months.
Oh, that is a great way to put it.
There was always a new package coming in the mail.
That conceptualizes it beautifully. And since we know the delivery method has changed, we already have concrete evidence of what is inside that very first box.
The spring drop.
Right. Update 26.1, the official spring drop, is already in its pre-release phase.
Meaning the features are locked in and the developers are just squashing bugs at this point.
Exactly. And while the spring drop is ostensibly smaller than the old annual updates, it packs in some highly requested quality-of-life improvements that fundamentally change early game survival.
We are seeing changes players have requested for a decade.
Yeah.
Like name tags, for instance, are finally craftable.
That alone alters the gameplay loop so much.
It really does. For years, the philosophy was that uncraftable name tags forced players to explore dungeons or engage in tedious villager trading.
Which was fine at first, but
eventually that just became a chore. Now you don't have to rely exclusively on fishing for hours just to keep your pet dog from despawning.
Thank goodness.
Plus, they have added a gorgeous new Cherry Grove Blossom panorama to the main menu screen. Panorama set the emotional tone for an entire era of the game, and this one makes everything feel fresh the second you boot it up.
They absolutely do. Those visual and quality of life tweaks are great, but the true foundation of 26.1 is happening under the hood.
Right, the technical stuff.
Yeah, there are mechanical changes that map makers and modders are analyzing closely. The most notable is that bone meal is now data-driven.
Okay, pause. I'm going to push back on the technical jargon for a second here.
Sure, go ahead.
So, for the everyday player who, just wants to build a nice farm and doesn't spend their free time coding data packs, what does a data-driven bone meal tag actually mean in practice?
That is a crucial question. To understand why this matters, you have to look at how the game previously functioned.
Yeah.
Historically, the game had a rigid, hard-coded rule about what happened when you right-clicked grass with bone meal. It triggered a generic algorithm that just spit out a random mix of standard flowers and tall grass, regardless of
It
nuance.
was basically a one-size-fits-all sprinkler system.
Precisely. Now, because it is data-driven, the developers and eventually community creators can configure the exact parameters of what spawns based on incredibly specific environmental conditions.
Oh, I see.
If you are standing in a specialized biome, like the Pale Garden, the game now references a specific data file to ensure only Pale Garden flora spawns. It provides complete granular control over the ecosystem.
So it is essentially future-proofing the game.
Yeah.
Whenever they want to add a new biome with unique plants, they don't have to rewrite the core engine logic. They just drop in a new text file.
You nailed it. We are seeing a similar philosophy with the new registry tweaks for banner patterns.
Right.
A registry in a game engine is essentially a library catalog. Previously, if a modder wanted to add a new banner design, they had to create entirely new complex directory tags that bloated the system.
Which is the headache.
A huge headache. Now, the game allows creators to provide a single pattern directly to the registry. It streamlines the backend code significantly.
But streamlining the backend code isn't just about making life easier for modders. It is actually the prerequisite for fixing the most glaring divide in the entire player base.
You are talking about the mechanical gap between the Java and Bedrock editions.
Exactly. Because alongside the 26.1 Java pre-release, the Bedrock beta 26.20 is rolling out, and it brings a seismic shift.
The parity changes. For years, jumping between the PC Java version and the console or mobile Bedrock version felt like playing two entirely different games.
It really did.
But beta 26.20 finally brings knockback into parity with Java.
Which completely rewrites the rules of Bedrock combat. Can you explain the mechanism behind why they felt so different in the first place?
In Bedrock, knockback used to calculate momentum using a completely different mathematical baseline.
Okay.
If you hit a creeper while sprinting on Java, the momentum transferred, sending the mob flying backward, giving you crucial breathing room. On Bedrock, that same sprint hit barely nudged the enemy.
Oh, wow. That is a huge disadvantage.
It made defending a base incredibly frustrating on a console because you couldn't control crowd spacing. Now, Bedrock players will finally experience that same satisfying physics-based momentum.
It fundamentally improves survival mechanics. And visually, Bedrock is also getting proper offhand rendering in first-person view.
Yeah.
So if you are holding an amethyst block or torch in your left hand, you will actually see it rendered correctly on your screen, rather than it just floating invisibly or not showing up at all.
It is the unification of the player experience.
Fixing that underlying code is crucial, but I want to pivot to the flashy stuff.
Oh, the fun stuff.
The stuff that is going to dominate social media algorithms and YouTube thumbnails for this spring drop. The tiny takeover.
The integration of baby variants for almost every single mob.
We are talking baby squids, baby drowned, baby turtles, pandas, sniffers, llamas, donkeys, even zombified piglins.
So maybe.
And on paper, it sounds adorable. But any veteran player knows that a baby zombie with a tiny hitbox moving at twice the speed of a normal mob is the most dangerous thing in a cave.
Absolutely terrifying.
Multiplying that chaotic energy across the whole ecosystem completely changes early game survival.
It creates a much more dynamic environment. Every animal you encounter suddenly has a chance to have this tiny counterpart running around, altering how you approach farming, hunting, and base defense.
The official announcement trailer they put out for this leaned into that chaos perfectly.
It really did.
The dark humor was completely unexpected. There's a beautifully animated sequence showing off all these cute new babies, and in the background, a baby chick just hilariously jumps straight into a bubbling pit of lava.
Just right into the lava.
And a few seconds later, a baby wolf casually walks right off a sheer mountain cliff.
It is surprisingly morbid for an official Mojang trailer. However, it perfectly reflects the reality of the pre-release right now because the bugs the community has uncovered with these tiny models are just as chaotic.
Oh, the bugs always provide the best stories. What are people finding?
During the initial snapshot phase, players discovered that baby zombies were spawning with full player-sized spears.
No way.
Yes. But because the zombie's character model was scaled down, the anchor points for the items were entirely misaligned.
Oh, I can picture it now.
The zombies were holding these massive weapons completely wrong, sometimes in the wrong hand, sometimes jutting horizontally out of their stomachs.
It is exactly like a toddler finding a heavy medieval broadsword in the living room and just dragging it across the carpet.
That is the exact image.
It is terrifying, but also undeniably hilarious.
Add to that the baby wolf animation error. Due to a UV mapping mistake in the code, the rotation speed on their tails was completely uncapped.
Capped.
Uncapped. The tails were wagging so incredibly fast it looked manic. The developers have smoothed most of this out for the pre-release, but the community had a field day documenting it.
I mean, the tiny takeover fundamentally changes the flavor of the world, but let's be honest, it doesn't take up an hour-long live stream.
No, it doesn't.
Which naturally leads the community to look at the upcoming Minecraft live schedule and ask, what else is filling that runtime?
That is the core mystery. You can only showcase baby donkeys for so many minutes.
The trailer specifically teased 3 distinct things: multiple game drops, special guests, and secret stuff.
Secret stuff.
And that phrase, secret stuff, has sent fan theories into absolute overdrive.
There is one theory regarding the upcoming summer drop that has a compelling amount of circumstantial evidence behind it. It points toward the return of the tough golem.
Okay, I have seen this floating around the forums, but I need you to break down the evidence for me.
Sure.
Because on the surface, bringing back a mob that lost a community vote years ago seems entirely out of left field.
You have to look at the breadcrumbs Mojang has been leaving. Recently, they released a Minecraft monthly video to officially reveal the name of the tiny takeover.
Right.
But the video was bizarrely filmed inside a very specific, obscure digital asset, the Tough Golem House, from a 2022 broadcast.
Okay, I am going to challenge that right there.
Let's hear it.
Are we sure this isn't just Mojang reusing old 3D environments to save time and budget on a minor YouTube video? Why assume it means the Tough Golem's coming back?
That is a fair point.
Because the community voted it out, since it was essentially just a glorified item frame that walked around.
Usually, I would agree that it is just asset recycling. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to look at what happened last year.
Okay.
The Copper Golem update was wildly popular. It was the standout drop of the year. The community consensus is that Mojang saw how much players loved a building-focused mechanical companion, and they are planning a massive architectural update for the summer.
Oh, that makes sense.
Players have been demanding more decorative blocks to display their loot for ages, and a reworked Tough Golem fits perfectly into that exact gap.
That does make a frightening amount of sense when you frame it around the success of the Copper Golem. But there is another theory circulating, and it actually ties directly back to those Bedrock parity changes we discussed earlier.
The knockback changes.
Yeah, because Mojang has been secretly fixing offhand rendering and completely overhauling knockback math in Bedrock. Well, could the mythical combat update finally be arriving this summer?
Ah, the white whale of Minecraft updates. The developers have spoken for years about wanting to rework the entire combat system to finally unify Java and Bedrock, but it consistently gets pushed back.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The underlying issue with the combat update has never just been about balancing sword damage.
No, not at all.
It is a hardware problem. How do you balance an intricate shield parry system or attack cooldowns so they work equally well for a PC player using a high-precision gaming mouse and a 9-year-old tapping an iPad screen?
That is the ultimate UI nightmare. Any change to a core mechanic like combat is going to be polarizing, but trying to bridge the gap between touch controls and a keyboard is why it is stalled.
Definitely.
However, an incremental drop system might actually be the safest way to introduce it.
How so?
Instead of forcing players to adapt to a game-breaking update all at once, they could roll out combat changes slowly, fixing knockback in spring, adjusting shield mechanics in summer, tweaking weapon speeds in fall, all while relying on live feedback.
Rolling it out piecemeal would definitely prevent the community from instantly revolting over a totally unrecognizable combat system.
Absolutely.
And speaking of preventing community revolts, we did receive one piece of confirmed news from the developers that is an enormous relief.
Yes. Developer Jeb officially confirmed on social media that the highly controversial mob votes are dead.
Thank goodness.
They will not be returning to the live shows.
It single-handedly saves the fandom from its annual civil war. Every single year, it was the exact same exhausting cycle.
It really was.
3 cool concepts are presented. The community fractures into angry campaigning factions. One mob wins and the other 2 are thrown into a vault. It meant 2/3 of the player base was left disappointed every single time.
It was an engagement tactic that ultimately generated more resentment than excitement.
Yeah, big time.
By eliminating the vote, Mojang is reclaiming control of their own narrative. They can objectively look at the game, decide what features the ecosystem actually needs, and just release them, rather than turning game design into a popularity contest.
Taking the mob vote off the table also changes the structure of Minecraft Live.
It frees up a ton of time.
The time they used to spend hyping up the voting process, interviewing developers about the losers, and counting tallies on stream is now completely freed up.
If the core game is ditching the vote and moving to faster drops, it stands to reason that a significant portion of that presentation will likely be dedicated to the broader universe outside the base game.
The spin-offs.
Right.
Which brings us to the leak that has been circulating like wildfire. Over the last few weeks, purported key artwork has surfaced for Minecraft Dungeons 2.
That was a massive leak.
And the most shocking detail isn't just the existence of a sequel to the dungeon crawler, but that the leak suggests a Q2 2026 release window.
That timeline is incredibly tight. If Q2 2026, which is merely months away, is an accurate release target, then this upcoming March Live event is Mojang's absolute last opportunity to launch a major marketing campaign to a global audience.
I have to push back hard on that release window, though.
You don't buy it.
A Q2 target feels drastically too soon for a shadow drop of a major spin-off sequel. The original Dungeons was successful because it was a highly accessible, entry-level action RPG.
That is true.
You need a 6 to 9 month runway to build hype for that market, run beta tests to balance the loot economy, and secure pre-orders. To just stand on stage and say, here is Minecraft Dungeons 2, play it next month, is a baffling strategy for a franchise this size.
It would certainly be a risky maneuver.
I'd argue it is much more likely we are getting a cinematic teaser trailer for a 2027 release.
However, the wider gaming industry has seen recent success with highly compressed marketing cycles.
Like what?
Look at titles like Hi-Fi Rush. It minimizes audience fatigue. But regardless of whether it releases in 2 months or next year, the sheer existence of that leaked artwork strongly suggests something.
What's that?
That the secret stuff teased in the trailer involves an expansion of the franchise beyond mining and crafting.
It is shaping up to be a packed presentation no matter how the minutes are divided. So let's step back and look at the whole board.
It's a lot to take in.
We are witnessing an incredible structural shift in how this intellectual property is managed. Between the tiny takeover giving us dynamic early game threats, the deep mysteries surrounding the summer drop, whether that manifests as the Tough Golem building update or a massive cross-platform combat overhaul, and the merciful execution of the divisive mob vote, Minecraft is entering a highly agile era.
And we have historical evidence that this agile approach can yield incredible results.
Remind me.
It is easy to look at a smaller package like the Tiny Takeover and wonder if the game is losing its ambition. But you have to recall what happened last summer. Vibrant visuals, the deferred rendering system, finally hit the base game after years of being trapped in experimental testing.
That was a game changer for graphics. Can you explain functionally what deferred rendering actually did for the player's hardware?
Deferred rendering fundamentally separates the geometry of the 3D world from the lighting calculations. Instead of the engine trying to calculate light bouncing off every single block loaded in the chunk all at once, which melts your graphics card, it only calculates complex lighting for the pixels your camera can currently see.
Oh, that is brilliant.
That massive technological leap was only possible because the developers were freed from the rigid constraints of the annual update cycle. It proves that frequent drops can deliver industry-leading tech optimization, not just cute baby animals.
They can do the fun, chaotic ecosystem tweaks in the spring and drop a technical masterclass in the summer.
The pipeline is finally flowing smoothly, feeding both the casual player and the technical community.
So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive by comparing the old development system to a giant, unwieldy holiday present, and this new system to a curated subscription box.
Right.
And while getting frequent feature drops means you never have to wait long for a reason to log back in, this constant, never-ending trickling of updates leaves you with one final thought to ponder.
Let's hear it.
If the game's underlying code is altering every few months, how will the independent modding community survive?
Oh man, that is the true hidden cost of agility.
Right. Think about the golden ages of Minecraft mods. The massive, sprawling mod packs that added nuclear reactors, new dimensions, and complex magic systems.
They were legendary.
Those monumental community projects relied on the base game sitting completely still for a year or more, giving creators the time to build and test massive add-ons without the foundation changing.
Which they don't have anymore.
Exactly. If the ground is forever shifting beneath their feet with bi-monthly game drops, the vanilla game might be more alive than ever, but its greatest community creators might just get left behind in the dust. It is something to think about while you are waiting for that 26.1 download bar to fill up.